Okay.
All right, Lonnie G, you're in charge.
All right, we're gonna get started. You ready, Dennis?
I am ready.
Jody B, you are born ready. You usually show up ready, but are you ready?
I am. Just remind me, you guys, remind me not to touch my eyes because I just sliced a bunch of jalapenos and I forgot to wear I didn't wear my little normal gloves that I normally do. So just remind me, don't touch my eyes. That's
Hey, Jody B, I think you got something in your eye. You might want to rub it real quick. Hello and welcome to Disney with the Ducks. I'm your host for tonight, Lonnie G. And of course, I'm joined by everyone's favorite duck. It was voted on in a survey, and everyone said, yeah, we love Jody. So, Jody B, how are you tonight?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Thanks for asking. And we're also joined by a very special guest, Dennis. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
I know. Thank you for joining because this is an exciting topic that we want to talk about. And we were kind of thinking about who's the best person to come on and kind of share their knowledge of this topic. And your name rose to the top. So thank you, Dennis, for making time to join us today. This is episode 201, Disney Cruise Lines for First Timers or Beginners, right? We're going to share some tips. You've made your reservation, you booked a cruise, and we're going to start sharing some tips. But before we do, like we always do, if you like what you hear, please, if you can, grace us with your presence on the socials. Just go on and give us a rating. 5 stars would be nice. Also, any feedback you'd like to give us. We're always trying to make the show better, especially going into this new year. So if there's something that you like to see on the show or some feedback to make the show better, please drop us a hint, and we will greatly appreciate it. And also, what we like to do is kind of start off with a question, so that you can get to know us better. So the question for today, what is something that you do on a Disney cruise line that you don't do at Walt Disney World or Disneyland if you're there? So Jody B, going on a cruise, something different than what you usually do at the World, what is it?
Okay, I have 2 answers. The first one is I go to shows on Disney Cruise Line. I typically don't go to a lot of the shows, even though they're great at Disney World. I have been there and seen them. And so and there's other stuff that I'm wanting to do. So I don't tend to go to as many shows there. But the second thing, and I think this is the biggest, is I actually relax on Disney Cruise Line. And I don't do that very often at Disney World. I'm kind of go. Even when I say I'm going to we're going to have a resort day, I'm just going to chill. It never, ever happens. So I relax. Yeah.
That's 2 good ones. Dennis, what about you? Something that you do on a cruise that you don't do at the World?
Oh, well, keep in mind, I don't actually get to the parks all that often anymore. I think it's been 3 years since I've been to a park, but I cruise typically a couple times a year. But with that having been said, I think it's watch the sunrise. I'll get up and there's nothing like watching the sunrise over the ocean on a cruise. And especially if it's a clear day, only slightly cloudy or whatever, but there are some tips that'll feed into this later. But I get up, go grab coffee, grab breakfast, wander around deck 4 on the classic ships and watch the sunrise, get a little bit extra. That's the other thing. I exercise on cruises. I'll run around deck 4 or whatever. And if I'm going to the World, I'm getting 10, 20,000 steps, no problem. So I don't do that so much on my parks vacations.
2 good ones as well. Yeah. And it's funny, I exercise on the cruise and I don't even think about exercising at the parks. But one thing I do, it's kind of similar to you, Jody B, is I relax, but I sleep in, right? So it's crazy. I never sleep in at the parks. I'm always getting up early, trying to rope drop or doing something. I purposely sleep in, except on Mickey Churro Waffle Day, but that's something different. But other than that, I usually sleep in and I go to bed late. And another thing I do, which is crazy, and I don't know why I always do it, but I always watch Pirates of the Caribbean, one of them, in the room, because it's usually on the TV. You can do it on demand. And for some reason, usually it's pirate night, but I would always watch one of the pirate movies. So yeah, there we go.
That's fun.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, guys. and lady. So we are, as we said, this is episode 201, Disney Cruise Line for Beginners. Of course, we are an accredited news podcast. So we have to give some of the facts, right? Because we report the facts here. So Disney Cruise Line currently has 7 ships in service, right? The Disney Destiny is the newest one. It launched in 2025. It joined the Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, the Fantasy, the Wish, and the Treasure. Right now, there's another ship that's coming, several ships actually. By 2031, Disney plans on having 13 ships, right? So currently, there are 3 classes of ships, right? There's the Magic class, which is the Disney Magic and the Wonder. It's the smallest of the ships. I'm kind of fond of the Magic. I really am. Then there's the Dream class, the Disney Dream and the Disney Fantasy. And as we say the classes, we usually call them sister ships because usually it's the same, they look basically the same in regards to how the layout is. But there are several just differences in regards to some of the lounges, names, and things of that nature. And we have the Wish class, which is the newest one, which is the Disney Wish, the Disney Treasure, and the Disney Destiny, right? Which actually started in November 2025. So yeah, the Disney Adventure is set to sail in 2026. And like I said, by the time it's all done, they'll have 13 ships by 2031, which shows the investment that Disney is putting into it, right? Another thing that benefits you when you sail on Disney multiple times, and I'm going to ask this question, I know where Jody B stands, but Dennis, there is a castaway club, right? So you start off as just your first newbie cruise, but once you do that and you do your first one, after completing a cruise, you qualify for the next level. So you start off after your first cruise, you're a silver member, and there are some benefits with that. And then after 5 sailings, you're a gold. After 10 sailings, you're a platinum. And after 25, you're a pearl. Not black pearl like the ship, but pearl. I guess you may have a pearl given to you, but I know you do have a sign on Castaway Cay with your name on it, which is the least you can do with 25 cruises, right? So Jody B, I know where you stand, but can you share what your current Castaway Club standing is right now?
I am still gold. I feel like I've been gold for a while. We're just still gold.
And that's still really good.
We're getting there.
You're getting it little by little. Dennis, What about you, sir? You sail a lot.
I am gold at the moment. By the end of 2026, I will be platinum. So
nice.
My current plans.
Woohoo!
Nice. That's good. And it comes with some great things, right? So I am 1 cruise away from gold. So I'm hoping to do a quick trip. And then, of course, on the previous episode, we talked about kind of doing a Jollywood Nights cruise, kind of linking them together for a land sea coming up next year. So hopefully I'll take a quick one before then so that I can jump on that one and be a gold. So there you go. I'm trying to catch up with you guys.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So, Jody B, you book your first cruise. It's a Disney cruise. Everybody's excited. What's one of the first things you usually do? Give me some tips that you do once you book your first cruise.
I think first times people who have never sailed Disney Cruise Line before, the first thing you should do is download the app, the Disney Cruise Line Navigator app. And you're not going to use it a lot when you're at home. You'll get fun countdowns and things like that, but you can see your ports of call, you can see your payment status, things like that. But it's really important to have that app while you're on the ship because you turn your phone into airplane mode and then you can chat with your other cruise mates. You can also use the iMessages and WhatsApp text messages while on board, which is pretty cool, free of charge. So you don't have to buy an internet package for that. So, and on the app is going to be the schedule of all the activities, the character meet and greets, the shows, the movies, you name it, it's all going to be on there. And what you want to do is go and heart the things that you like. There's a little heart symbol. You just press it. And then 15 minutes before it will tell you it's time to go meet Mickey or whatever it is. So I think that's one of the first things that I suggest to people is download the app.
Very good tip. You don't want to wait till you get on the ship and try to look at things, right? You want to kind of heart them, like you said, see what you got, plan out your day, and then you'll be good to go.
Oh, we lost Lonnie. Okay, I'm going to take over.
Okay.
So, Dennis. Lonnie is frozen in time. He got so excited about downloading the app. He got lost in some, internet confusion. When I said you didn't need Wi-Fi, I guess you really didn't think you needed Wi-Fi. So, all right, Dennis, what is one of the tips that you have?
This one is, you're going to get different opinions on, but Facebook groups are something to consider. Typically, every sailing is going to have a Facebook group established for it. It's not official. It's something that someone on that sailing is going to take it upon themselves to do. You just go to Facebook, you do a search, put the name of your ship in, the dates of the cruise, and you're typically going to find one. And the advantage to joining those Facebook groups is that you're going to get people that are new sailors, you're going to get people that are experienced sailors, experienced cruisers, and they'll be able to fill you in on some of the details. The other thing that will happen is that whoever's the admin is probably going to give you all reminders of when it's time to book your events or your paid in full dates, or if you're interested in things like the fish extenders and doing gifts for, I'm not, but people do enjoy those things. They'll organize groups through that, but it also gives you an opportunity just to get to know some of the other people that's going to be on your cruise, if you're interested in doing that. Or if you have kids, that's a good way to help them make friends, is finding people who have children of a similar age that might be interested. Plus, once you get into the booking period where people are starting to book your onboard activities and things like cabanas on Castaway Cay, it's hard for new cruisers to get those things. So if you're in one of those cruise groups, people will frequently tell you when they've given them up. And if you're paying attention, you can jump in there and snag some of that stuff ahead of people who aren't in the Facebook group. So anyways, Facebook groups, those are a good way to go.
I had that exact same tip on there. It's really easy. You just go on Facebook and you type in your ship name and your date, and typically you can find it. So I always join them. I like to be connected to people. So that was one of my tips. Okay, so my next tip is arrive the day before you set sail. Please don't give everyone a heart attack and show up that morning, unless you live in Florida and you're sailing out of Port Canaveral or something like that. Then fine. Or you live in Texas and you're going out of Galveston and it's a 2-hour drive. Okay, but if you have to fly to your destination, or if it's a more than 12-hour drive to get to your destination for your sailing, please arrive the day before, because guess what? That ship's not going to wait for you. So if you decide to cut it close and you're landing at 11 a.m. and you're supposed to be on board at 1 p.m. and your flight's delayed, that ship's going to leave without you. So arrive the day before. What do you think, Dennis?
It's like you and I are reading off the same notes here. That was my next tip as well. And I've sailed out of a lot of different ports. I've sailed out of Port Canaveral, Miami, which Disney's not currently doing, San Diego, Galveston, Vancouver, and Barcelona. And you definitely want to be there the day before. Remove the stress about whether you're going to make it to your cruise on time. A number of hotels have partnerships with Disney, and you can get their charter in order to get to the port if you want to do that. And also, it's just fun when you're there the day in advance. And because I know in San Diego, there's hotels directly across the street from the port, and you can wake up and be looking into the bridge that morning after that ship, or you can watch the ship sail in if you want to do that. So definitely get there ahead of time.
Yeah. Great tip. And this is also when it's great to work with a travel agent or friends because also those Facebook groups. I know, Dennis, you really helped me with Vancouver. Let me know where to stay before that sailing, which was great because a lot of the beds in Vancouver are doubles and we wanted bigger beds than just doubles. So that's also a really good tip. And people would say, like, this is where I'm staying, or, give some good tips, in particular if it's not a port that you're familiar with. So that's awesome. Go the day before. So I'm glad you thought about that.
Well, I'm kind of piggybacking on what you were saying about the app earlier. And yeah, you downloaded it while you're at home, but once you get on that ship, make sure it's working first thing. And they typically will have cast members that are right there that'll help you be able to solve any problems that you might have with it. And then, like you said, go through each one of the days, heart the things that you want to do. And here's the extension of that tip. Realize you can't do it at all. There is a much more laid back vacation than going to the parks, but those days are still chock full. And so hopefully you've booked something like a 4 or 5 day cruise as a starter one, so you can get a chance to know the ship and get a chance to do a lot of the different things. But your Marvel trivia is going to be at the same time as some movie in the theater, which is at the same time as a movie that's up on the funnel vision on the pool deck, which is at the same time as some tasting you might be interested in, which is also at the same time that Mickey's meeting people in the atrium. You can't do it all. But if you go through the app once you're on board, and that's when you can see all those activities, you can start hearting the things that you're interested in. And like you said earlier, you're going to get those 15-minute advanced notifications. But maybe you are in line for Mickey, but you know that movie is going to be showing 2 days from now. Or maybe you're at the movie and you know that Mickey's going to be back later that afternoon at some time. So you don't have to worry about rushing everywhere if you've done the work. And just understand, you're going to enjoy the cruising. You're likely going to do another one after this, and there'll be opportunity to do some of those things you missed. But just realize you can't do it all.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And even though we're both gold, there are still things that I have yet to do that I've always wanted to do. So you can't do it all. All right, my next one may be controversial, but I feel pretty strongly about it, and that is buy the trip insurance. I have seen some disasters of situations where there have been health issues, where I have seen people taken off the ship before in an emergency. I have seen people left at port before, and then that's a big problem. So if you buy trip insurance, those type of things help. I'm not a trip insurance expert. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but cruising is expensive. Cruising on Disney Cruise Line is very expensive. And I personally just think knowing that if a what if situation would come up, that we would be okay. In particular, if we're in a foreign country, which most of the sailings go to a foreign country, not all of them. I guess Vancouver goes out of Canada and then back up to Alaska. But so that's a tip that I have. I think you do have to purchase it before your paid in full date is complete, if I remember correctly. So, but that's my tip. I don't like to have any uncomfortable situations, so I would suggest that you buy the trip insurance.
100%. I agree completely. The one thing I would also encourage is pricing out third-party trip insurance on that. It's typically a better deal than what you're going to get through Disney Cruise Line, which I believe is 8% typically of your cruise fare is what they charge. But I usually go to a broker site like insuremytrip.com. And price out different policies there. You can, get more protection for lost baggage or missed stops on a cruise, or if they change your itinerary stops and you've booked excursions that you can't get refunded. Just to back it up, some of the things that you get covered by the trip insurance are the cruise itself. You can get your airfare included in that, especially through third parties. You can get any medical expenses you incur on board covered if you've got the right policy, and that's typically not going to be covered by your own health insurance. And then I've seen people airlifted off of cruise ships. I've seen people have to get off onto smaller boats and taken to shore. That stuff's not cheap. So hopefully you won't have to use it, but it is wonderful peace of mind coverage.
Yeah. I've seen crazy things too. I saw a kid who was jumping off the steps, not a lot, two steps down and broke a leg. So, things like that happen. So I think getting the trip insurance is always a good idea. All right, Lonnie, maybe welcome back again.
I hope so. Yeah.
We're glad you're back. So we've talked about Facebook groups, we've talked about trip insurance, we talked about the app, we talked about hurting things, we talked about going in the night before. Do you have any tips that you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's one thing is, along with the app and harding things, is to know when your window open up to select activities. That's more important as well. Like I said, it's based on the number of cruises you take. So this is the first time, you probably not silver yet if this is your first cruise. So there's a certain timeline when you have to go in and start to book your things, right? So it goes hand in hand with Jody's point of harding things in the app. So hey, if you want to do something like a tasting or a cooking class or something of that nature, you want to make sure that you know when you can go in there and register for that so you can hopefully get it done. And on top of that as well, if you can't, don't lose hope, because you can always go in on the first day when you first board the ship. Usually there is somewhere on one of the decks where you can go down, and usually you can sign up for a Apollo reservation or one of those classes or tastings and things of that nature. And you'd be amazed when you join the actual cruise group, to your point in the Facebook post, how many people will say, if you say, hey, I'm looking for this, if anyone wants to drop it, please, send me a message and let me know. And I've picked up some tastings doing that way as well. When someone would send me a message and say, hey, I have one on this date, I'm about to drop it if you want it, and you coordinate with that person and you can pick it up.
Yeah, those are great. I also had know your dates on there also. Hopefully you're working with a travel agent who's keeping you informed of all this. But if not, there's two important dates. So one is the date where you get to start booking your onboard activities like adult dining, spa appointments, drink tastings, and port adventures, which are excursions. For first-time sailors, that is 75 days in advance. And it's also at midnight Eastern Standard Time. So yay, midnight.
That's important. That's important.
The other one is your online check-in for your cruise also happens at midnight Eastern Standard Time. And for first-time sailors, that's 30 days in advance. And one tip I want to make sure everyone thinks about with that one is have a credit card, not a debit card, ready for you to put on file. And make sure you've got everyone's passports handy and a headshot of them, just of their face with no glasses, no hat, no anything on them. So you'll need that for online check-in.
Yeah. In addition to that, the tip about checking in on the boat for these tastings or Apollo reservations is a good one. But stock the app. People will change their plans constantly from the time they will overbook activities. And the cabanas on Castaway Cay, their Apollo reservations, whatever. I'm currently stalking the app trying to get Apollo brunch for my family right now, and and so yeah, but. I think it's 2 days before the cruise is when everything kind of locks in. And so that those last couple days are when people start canceling the things they don't want, because you may not get that refunded if you don't get it canceled in time. So especially as you get closer to time, keep stocking the app.
Yeah, good tip.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've never gotten the Apollo reservation on the app, but I've always gotten one on that first day by going in into where the check-ins at. And they'll actually have, the actual maitre d' down there, and he will sign you up for one. So, like I said, don't lose heart. Just keep trying. To Dennis' point, stalk that app, and then go in on the first day and see if you can get it once you get on the boat. Which is, to my point as well, try to, at least for me, and everyone approaches it differently. I like to get a early boarding group. The earliest, the better. So I'm on there trying to check in. It's 11 o'clock Central because I'm Central Time, so I can try to get in and get an earlier pass so I can get on the ship, and in that way, kind of get myself situated and try to get some of those things signed up for.
Awesome. All right, Dennis, I think it's your turn again.
All right, there's a lot of great things to do on the ship, and one of the most fun ones is shopping. A lot of people that are Disney fans like their merch, and there's a lot of good stuff that's on the ship. If you see it and you think you want it, buy it right then. If you don't, you run the risk that it's not going to be available the next time you're in that store, or they're not going to have your size if you're looking at a shirt, and it may not get restocked at any point during the cruise. There's been a number of times that I've waited, and then we've been put on a list, and then we get the little womp womp message to the room that, sorry, we weren't able to find one in stock anywhere, and you just lose out. You can always return it before the end of the cruise. If you decided that you don't actually want it, just make sure you do that the last night of the cruise, because the shops are not open on the morning of disembarkation. So again, if you see something and you're thinking about it, just take the plunge. You can always return it before the end of the cruise.
Good tip.
That's an awesome tip. Because like you, Dennis, I've missed out on things I've wanted. I said, oh, I'll think about it. And I come back and it doesn't have it. And it's not like at World. They don't have it in the back somewhere.
That's right.
A lot of times what you see is what you get.
All right. Is it my turn next? Is that where we are?
I think it is, Jody B.
All right. My next one, again, could be controversial with some people, but it's the photo package. I, as a mom, tend to be in very few photos with my family because I'm the one taking the photos. So moms, I'm talking to you all. Buy the photo package. Listen to me. You want to actually be in the family photos. And there are photographers everywhere on the ship. A lot of times before dinners, they're out taking pictures of your family. They're also on Disney's 2 private islands taking pictures, so don't miss out on that. It's not cheap. It's not like Disney parks. You can buy a certain amount of photos, or you can buy the unlimited package. If we're on a week-long cruise, I tend to buy the unlimited package because I know between the 4 of us that we'll be getting different photos. Even though my teenage son does not like to be in pictures anymore. So I like to buy it ahead of time, just have it taken care of. If you're questioning whether you want to do it or not, you could always wait until you're on the ship and buy a package or a couple of photos. But I think they do a great job. I love the backdrops that they have. All the characters, there's typically a PhotoPass photographer out there with them. I like the photos.
I get that package every time too. It's cheaper if you buy it in advance of the cruise than if you buy it on board. And if you get a bunch of pictures and decide you don't want any of them, you can usually go to the photo desk and get them to remove it from your bill.
Oh,
So I've never done that because I've always ended up downloading all the pictures. This goes for dads too. I'm the guy who takes 1,000 pictures on the cruise, and so this is how I get in them as well. And so I completely agree with you. You got to get the photo package.
Lonnie, are you a photo package person?
You know what? It's when we take a family vacation, I am, but not when it's like me and my wife. But when I take the kids along with me, then yes, we'll get the package then, because I want those memories with the kids running around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I think, Lonnie, it's your turn.
Okay, so mine is once you get on the boat as well, and that is, have some fun and decorate your door. You'll be amazed as you walk through it. Just tour the ship and just look at all the doors and the people that decorate them. They are awesome. It's fun to kind of just walk through, and some people have some things you could read along on their door that talk about their cruise. And if it's a special cruise or something like that, they'll have it on those doors. So it's still Disney. It's still very magical. Have fun. You can order different magnets and things of that nature, but go ahead, decorate your door and have fun. I think that's one of the tips I have. The first trip I went on, I didn't know about that, right? And I was walking around and said, I don't have a magnet for my door. But now, hey, we ordered some magnets and packed some things up, and we like to bring them on board.
Yeah. Magnets are awesome. You can order them from Etsy, or if you're crafty, even if you're not that crafty, even I can do this. You can print something and laminate it and glue a magnet on the back of it. But it's easy. It's fun. It helps you find your stateroom.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of door magnets also. I think they're great. Dennis, are you a fan of door magnets?
Yes, but I have 2, or they're not teenagers really anymore, but my teenage sons weren't. So we typically would save them the embarrassment or the perceived embarrassment by not doing it. But when my wife and I we're doing our first cruise is just a couple on Disney and later this year, and I'm planning on doing magnets then because I'll be able to without having to, get the eye rolls from the boys. So
awesome. All right, Dennis, I think it's your turn.
Okay, excursion. You're going to go to a lot of places on your cruise. Typically the Bahamas cruises, the Caribbean cruises are going to go to Disney's private islands at least once or twice. You're going to probably maybe end up in Nassau, or if you're doing Alaska, you're going to end up a bunch of really great ports. If you sail out of San Diego, you're going to end up Catalina Island, Ensenada, Cabo, some other wonderful places. Galveston's ends up a lot of places. Point is you're going to end up a lot of interesting ports. And you've got the opportunity to book excursions through the Disney app. There's advantages to doing that in that you're guaranteed to get back on the ship if they are late returning you. The disadvantage is it tends to be more expensive if you book through Disney and you do their excursions. Also, if you are a new cruiser, you run the risk of the platinum, gold, or pearl, platinum, gold, and silver cruisers buying up the excursions that you might be interested in. Don't fear. You can... there's usually something still good left, or most of these ports are places you can get out and walk around and have a good time without actually booking anything. But don't be afraid necessarily to go through third party. And the best way to research that is you can reach out to people in your Facebook group if you want to do that, or go to Viator.com or TripAdvisor.com and see what they have in those various ports. A few tips for searches. I will do things like best excursions from the cruise port in Ensenada, or best excursions from the cruise port in Nassau, or whatever, that helps you find providers that are going to come pick you up from the ship, as opposed to you having to walk for blocks in whatever city you've just arrived in and someplace you may not be familiar with. Once you found something on Viator or TripAdvisor, or maybe you haven't, if you've got something that seems close to what you want, look up their website. And a lot of these providers are willing to work with you to maybe tailor the experience to something that you might want. I did this a lot in the Mediterranean. I know when I went, we stopped in Naples, I wanted to see Mount Vesuvius, I wanted to see Pompeii, and I wanted to go to a winery. I could not find that excursion prepackaged anywhere, but I reached out to an independent third party and told them what I wanted, and they priced it out for me. And I said, fantastic. And it was cheaper than doing something with 30 other people through Disney. So it is a leap of faith, especially if you're a new cruiser, to book through those third parties. But don't be afraid to look, and just make sure that they're going to be able to get you back to the ship. I'd recommend a time that's at least an hour before the ship's scheduled departure. And any reputable provider is going to get you back in time. They cannot afford to get you there late, because that would kill their business if word got out.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good tip. We did a lot of third-party excursions in Alaska because I was like, well, if we get stuck, we're still in the United States. So good tip. All right. I have, this one may seem silly to you guys, but I have snack attack. Food is everywhere on the ship, but if you have littles, it may not be what your littles want or when they want it. So a couple of tips here. You can order Uncrustables for room service. They're not on the menu, but you can order them, and you can keep them in your room has a refrigerator, and you can keep them in your room. That's great for port excursions. If you're heading out and you're worried, that your kids aren't going to like anything out there. So you can have them. If you're waiting in line to meet a character and somebody's melting down, you can hand them an Uncrustable. Because one thing I noticed when my kids were little, there were no snacks like goldfish or things like that like littles, you typically as a mom, you have in your bag and you hand it to them when you can tell that they need a little something. So if you want to pack some of those things, you can, but also you can order room service 24 hours a day, and it's free. You just need to tip. So you can always order some room service. And my other thing kind of with snack attack is also pack reusable water bottles. There's water refill stations that you can fill your water bottles. So I think that also helps with littles when they're feeling a little, that was a lot of littles. When your younger kids are maybe getting a little cranky, a little water goes a long way. So that was my tip right there, was snack attack.
I like it.
All right, Lonnie G.
My tip is to do some research in regards to the cruise before you get on there. And what I mean by there are certain advantages that Disney Cruise Line has that other cruises don't have. I think Jody B just mentioned room service. Room service is included on a Disney cruise. Like I said, there's food everywhere, but also there's things like if you go up to the Cove Cafe and you want to get a special coffee, right? There's a punch card you can get, and you buy 5 coffees because they're not included in the packs, but you buy 5, the 6 is free, right? So it's little things like that. So do your due diligence and look into some of the things that Disney offers that previously you would have to pay for on some of the other cruise lines, like soda. There's no soda package. You have that all over the place, right? On certain decks, you just have to go and get some. So ice cream, yes, the Disney ice cream. It's there, it's soft serve. You have to get as many as you can. That's included, right? So just do your research to see exactly what's included on a Disney cruise to make sure you can take advantage of as many benefits as you can. Because along with that, you do have discounts as well if you have a Disney Visa, right? There's a percentage off as well that you can use on merchandise, as well as, like I said, up at the Cove Cafe and things of that nature if you use that. So just know all your benefits and then use them.
Good tip. That's awesome. All right, Dennis, what do you have next?
Mine next one kind of piggybacks off what Lonnie was just saying, and that is, unlike a lot of cruise lines, Disney does not offer a drink package, and specifically with regards to alcohol. If you sail with Royal or Carnival or anyone else, Norwegian, they're gonna, before your cruise, try and sell you a package that will allow you to unlimited, in quotes, drink throughout the day. That's not the environment on Disney, so that's why they don't do it. However, Jody, I know you enjoy a good glass of wine, so do I. What I have found to try and bring down the price of the alcoholic beverages on the cruise is that you can get gifts for your stateroom in advance. It's right there in the app. You can scroll down at the bottom of your reservation and you can find this. And then one of the things they offer are, it's not a drink package, but it is wine packages for you can use. They're typically, I think it's 3, 5, and 7 days is what you can buy. And so basically, I mean, you could use multiple bottles of that package on one dinner, or you can spread it out over the length of your cruise. You don't have to worry if you don't finish that bottle at dinner. They'll cork it, write your name on it and your room number, and then they'll bring it back for your next night. So anyways, that is a way to kind of help defer some of that cost that comes with if you're going to want to enjoy some wine on there. And beyond that, I know if you're a beer drinker, they do have some very large mugs of beer that you can purchase. And then you can, if you've done that, you can get a discount on refilling that mug. Now, the thing that they'll do for you is if you don't want to carry that mug around, you can turn it in and they'll give you a token. And then you can carry that in your wallet or your pocket or whatever instead. And then the next time you want a mug of beer, you can take that over there and trade it in, and they'll give you the discounted mug of beer back. But I know people who will take that token from cruise to cruise to cruise and use that to get their discounted beer. But those are just a couple ways to save on that expense on your cruise.
Well, Dennis, you and I must be thinking on the same lines, because my next one was about alcohol also, but a little bit different. You're right that Disney Cruise Line does not have a drink package. I actually had a friend tell me that's why their family was not going to sail Disney Cruise Line, because they didn't have a prepaid drink package. But you can also bring, every adult in your stateroom is permitted to bring either 2 bottles of wine or 1 6-pack of beer on board with them when you get onto the ship. But they do have to be in your carry-on. They cannot be in your regular luggage. So you do have to bring them on with you and then carry them around with you on the first day when you get on the ship. So Tim and I often will bring 2 bottles of champagne because we like to have a mimosa or a pre-dinner drink. So we'll do that. That's a great way also to save a little bit of cash. You can, I think, I don't know what a mimosa costs on the ship, but having my own champagne is going to definitely make it a little bit cheaper. So that's something that you are permitted to do. No hard alcohol, but beer or wine, you're okay to bring 2 bottles of wine or 1 6-pack of beer per person.
Yeah, you got to be mindful of that limit when you're doing a Mediterranean cruise, because you end up in all these places that have really great wine, and then you want to bring some back on there. And if you have more than that 2 bottle per adult limit, then they're taking some of it. They'll give it back to you at the end of the cruise. Something similar happens with the hard alcohol. Don't push this, but if you show up with that, they'll take it, confiscate it, and then you'll have to go get it at the end of the cruise. Which, some of these islands in the Caribbean are famous for the rum and things like that. So it's not that you can't just not get it. You're just not going to be able to enjoy it on the cruise itself.
Good tip. All right, Lonnie G, what do you have?
My tip is basically to wander the ship. The ship is so beautiful, so many different areas. On the first day, when you do get in there, you're allowed to go in the kids' clubs. That's the only time you're allowed to go. It's the first day. So you want to go in there and check out the kids' clubs and see what the kids will be up to if you bring kids on board. But even if it's in the middle of the night, unlike the park, it doesn't close, right? So you wake up, and I've woken up at 2 a.m. and couldn't go to sleep. And I said, I'm just going to walk around the ship. And you get a whole different perspective, right? Walking the decks, of course, it's kind of like a little ghost ship, but still, crew will be out. They're cleaning and things of that nature, which is why I love Disney Cruise Line. Is by far so clean. But you get to wander and see different parts of the ship without people around. So it's don't shy away from that, and don't shy away from visiting the kids' clubs on the first day. Yeah.
I go down a slide on the kids' club because why not on the first day?
Why not?
Okay, Dennis, I think you're up. What do you have?
So Disney cruises are relaxing, but you do have to take in consideration what you're going to wear while you're on the cruise. And typically, if you're sailing out of Florida and you're doing the Bahamas or the Caribbean, then you're largely just thinking about shorts, t-shirts, whatever. The dining rooms do require that you have not swimwear and that you have something that's a bit more presentable than that. Places like Alaska, you're going to have to consider doing layers because typically while in summer, every time I've been, temperatures have typically been around the 60s, got up to 80, and everyone was melting in Ketchikan when that happened. But again, you're going to have like a glacier day, and it does get colder on those things. So be aware of the different types of clothes you're going to have. But the bigger tip is that there are laundry facilities available on the ship. And some people like to get away with their carry-on luggage for a flight. I can't do that. I have too many shoes because I want to work out. There may be a formal night, in which case and if you want to participate, you're going to have something that's a bit more elaborate than what you can carry wrinkle-free and carry-on luggage. Or you just may not want to pack a full 7 days worth of clothes if you got a 7-night cruise. So they do have laundry. Midpoint of your cruise, though, it can get busy on the classic ships. So the Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy, you've got laundry facilities on every deck of the ship. And you can use any floor if you want. You can pull the app open and find out where free laundry machines are at the moment, but they'll be in demand. So when we were talking at the beginning of the show, things that I do, one of the things, I am the laundry guy. My wife does laundry the rest of the year. I do it on vacation to give her a break. I'll get up early and go find those machines before anyone is using them. And then I'll get a load going, and then I'll grab coffee somewhere and I'll rock around deck 4 and watch the sunrise and take advantage, like Lonnie was saying, explore the ship, go out there, I love taking pictures of everything on the ship. And some of the best times to do that is in the morning when there's nobody in the atrium. Mm-hmm. And you can get some really stunning pictures of the chandeliers, the atrium statues, all the selfies you want with nobody in the background, if that's what you want to do. I won't wake up my family to do these things. I'm just not that stupid. But at any rate, and then on the Wish class ships, everything's on deck 8, and there is a ton of facilities there. I've only done one sailing on the Wish and never had a problem finding facilities there. They have the soap, they have the dryer sheets there that you can purchase. It is a bit pricey, like I think $3 per load to do that. So just keep that in mind, but you can charge everything right to your room with your Key to the World card. Or you can bring your own dryer sheets and soap. I just don't like to travel with that stuff, so I pay the premium, but it is possible.
Well, Dennis, I don't leave home without Tide Pods. I just assume somebody's going to spill something that needs to be washed somewhere. So I always have a baggie of Tide Pods and Bounce in my to-go bag. Yeah, laundry is great. I've done it many times, and I think anyone traveling with littles, you probably want to be prepared and just have some laundry ready to go. That's a good tip. And that's where the ironing boards are too. There's no ironing boards in your stateroom. And so if it's formal night and you pack some dress shirts and they need to be ironed, they're in the laundry facility. All right. So my next one is also kind of not laundry related, but it's get to know your stateroom host and your servers. They really want to get to know you too, and they can really make your cruise extra special. For example, our first cruise, my kids both were really into Shirley Temples at the time. And so after that first night, when we would go to sit down at our meal, they would have their Shirley Temples ready, and they realized that my daughter really liked the cherries. And so they would just have a plate of cherries ready for her. So if you get to know them and get to talk to them, they can be really helpful. Our stateroom host has even sometimes given us good tips of port places that they liked that I'd never heard of before. And also your stateroom host, they're like a magician. They come into your room and redo everything and like get your kids' beds ready and your bed's ready. It's magic. But this is not guaranteed. So do not quote, say, well, Jody said so. But you can kindly ask if they have any themed sheets for your kids, and they can put themed sheets on your kid's bed if they have them and if you ask for them. It's not guaranteed, but it's worth an ask. So, and my kind of other thing with your stateroom host and your servers is treat them kindly. At the end of the sailing, there's a gratuity that is paid out. We always bring extra cash if we've had good experience, which we've never not had a good experience. So they really rely on those tips. So.
Indeed.
Right. Okay. Lonnie, your turn.
Yeah, mine is kind of similar to that in regards to the meals, and that is try something different in regards to the meals, right? So number one, there are 2 seatings for meals. There's the early and the late. The late one is at 8:15. The earlier one first seating it's like at 5:45 or something like that. But what happens is there are shows that actually are, happening and doing each serving, right? So usually, you say, hey, usually we eat around 6 o'clock. Don't be afraid to eat at the later showing, right? And then stay up late, right? And then you can sleep in. So trying something different on the ships that you usually don't do, because, one thing that's really is unique to Disney, which I really like, is the rotational dining piece, and the fact that the servers do follow you around from restaurant to restaurant. And to Jody's point, they get to know you. So be kind, right, to them. I always like to pay gratuities up front. You can do that before you get on the cruise, as well as still bring extra to take care of them as well, because they will take care of you. So yeah, try something different that you usually don't do.
Yeah, that's how Landon found out he likes escargot. In Cincinnati, I'm not sure where I would take him to go find escargot, but he tried it on Disney Cruise Line and liked it.
Yeah, and if look, and they're so accommodating. I mean, I've had something I was like, man, I wish I would have had this, and I was referencing something that we had the night before on another restaurant, and 15 minutes later, the server came up with it. So they went to the other restaurant, grabbed it, and brought it over to me.
That's
Which was, you can't beat the service on a Disney cruise, right? So, to Dennis' point, you can try. To your point, escargot, you don't like it, and I'm not an advocate for wasting food, but try something new, and then you just never know, right? I mean, you can get 2 desserts, you can get 2 appetizers, you can get 2 meals. It's just eat it, don't waste it.
Yeah, and your server is going to lead you down the right path. If you say, hey, I think I'm going to order the pork tonight, and they're like, have you tried the chicken? Like, you may want to, they typically will recommend things that they know are more popular or tend to get better reviews. So you listen, follow their lead. I'm not saying don't try something different, but if they're really advocating for some dish or something, you may want to listen to what they have to say.
Oh yeah.
100%. That I had that written down in all bold letters on my notes here. They usually start the meal giving you the recommendations, and go with those. But if that's not what you want, ask them what they think about whatever it is that you're considering. As Lonnie said, order 2 entrees if you're not certain. They'll usually don't have any problem getting for you. And this is not a guarantee, but if there's just nothing on the menu that in the rotational dining room that you're in that night, look at the menus for the other 2 restaurants for that night. They're all coming out of the same kitchen. They will usually don't have a problem going and getting you the steak that's in one of the other restaurants or the seafood that's there. So that's another option. And then this one I haven't tried yet, but I have heard it works, is if frequently on the cruises with the rotational dining is that you will end up, if it's more than 3 nights, in the same restaurant, at least one of the restaurants 2 nights in a row. Well, if you really enjoyed a meal from night 1 in that restaurant and you want again on the second night, well, they're going to give you a different menu, but ask them if they can get it for you again that second night, and they may be able to do it. It's not a guarantee, but they're going to try and accommodate you when it comes to those things. And of course, if you got allergies, make sure you tell them all about that at the beginning, and they'll come out and have conversations with you about what it is that you can and you cannot eat.
Yeah. I've sometimes also done appetizers for my meal. I'll look at the main course and nothing is really jumping out at me, and I'll say like, oh, I would love the persets as my main course, and they'll plate it and bring it to me as my main course. So you just, they're there to work with you. I mean, they're not going to go fly to New Zealand and get something for you, but they're definitely going to work with you and try. They want you to be happy, and they're going to do their best to be happy, to make you happy.
Yeah, I love the escargot. I paired that with the fried brie in the Royal Court, and that's
fried brie.
The fried brie.
Oh, yeah,
can't go wrong.
So good. Well, I guess this isn't a great subject to change to now, but I feel like it needs to be talked about briefly. Is just prepare for motion sickness, just in case. If you're a first-time sailor and if you've never been on a cruise before ever, have something with you. Have the non-drowsy Dramamine, which, by the way, I can't take. It makes me mean as a snake. I have no idea why, but it does. Or you could go to your pediatrician or your doctor and ask for a prescription for something. Landon went to a school trip in Washington, D.C., and they were on the bus for quite a while. And I had the patches behind his ears for him just because a bus with a bunch of kids and in middle school, I didn't want him to get car sick. There's a lot there's the wristband things. They do have things on board, but you're going to pay a hefty price for them. So I would prepare just in case. I've only had one sailing where we've had rough waters, and that was out of Galveston around Christmas time. Most of the time, it's no big deal. But if you're worried about you or your kids or another family member or a friend, just have it to be on the safe side.
Indeed.
All right. Who's next? Lonnie, is it your turn? Do you have any other tips for first-time DCL cruisers?
Well, I think one thing is you do have to make sure you know what's allowed on the ship as well in regards to chargers and things of that nature. You can't bring a multi-outlet surge protector and things of that nature. So just know they will go through your luggage and they'll confiscate some things. Bring your patience with that. That's along for your safety as well, and the safety of the ship. Also, there are times when you can get two rooms instead of just one room, right? So if you're booking and you have two balconies, if you request, they can actually take down or move the little separating thing for the balcony, so you have one larger balcony. So if you do have two rooms, try to get them booked by each other so that you can do that and kind of expand your balcony. So that's also good as well. Some people don't like the balcony rooms. Some people prefer interior rooms. I usually, and this goes with the research as well, the floor in which you like to get it, because if you're right under, say, the pool level or under the restaurant, right, you're going to hear chairs moving early in the morning and things of that nature in the back. So you got to have all of that kind of in your mind. But that's where a travel agent can help you as well, which is so good to use them so they can recommend. In the middle of some of these big ships, you kind of have less motion, right, than you have if you're in the forward or in the back of the ship. So just do all that. Just know, and if they open up your luggage and it is gone, just know it's for your safety and don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Pack your patience.
I had power strips I also had, if you have littles, maybe a night light because the rooms get dark. And then my favorite thing to pack in our room are the ceiling magnet hooks. I am obsessed with them. I can't sail without them. I love them. They're great for hats and bathing suits and workout clothes and lanyards, you name it. I love them. So, but yeah, the power strip, make sure I would bring one because you're probably going to need things to charge, but make sure it's a compliant one. So just check out DCL's website to make sure that what you're packing is compliant.
Just a comment on the hooks. We once put one on the wall that we couldn't get off because the magnet was so strong. So you might want to check that someplace before you get on the cruise ship. And sometimes you need to put like a piece of cloth or something like that so you can pull it off a little bit more easily after that. But the storage can be an issue. So having those hooks will help.
But the great thing is all your luggage fits under your bed. So that's a good tip too. So you don't have to worry about your tripping over your luggage. So, Okay. All right. I only have one more. Dennis, do you have another one?
Yeah. Two. One's a bigger deal than the other one though. Forget the rope drop culture of the parks. You don't have to line up for everything 30 minutes in advance in most cases. When you go to dining for your rotational dining, you have a table. You showing up 15, 20 minutes in advance is not going to get you a better table. You're going to the same table and they'll ask you what your table number is and they're going to take you right to it. And then you'll know that. So you could wait 15 minutes in advance for dinner, or you could go spend that time in the lounge or getting a picture taken in the atrium or meeting a character or something. Don't use up all your time waiting in line in advance. If there is a character meet and greet, if you show up at that time that it's supposed to start, if you're in that line, they're going to let you take the picture with the character. If you show up 15, 20 minutes later, maybe not. The only time that I would say that isn't necessarily the case is, a couple instances. One, if there's an extremely rare character photo op, like the Alaska on the Glacier Day, they're all in their Alaskan outfits and those lines can get really long. And so you do want to get there ahead of time. Or if it is right now, like on the Destiny, it's a brand new ship and the Hercules show is incredibly popular. And if you want to make sure you get in and they aren't having a matinee, you may want to show up a little bit earlier to make sure you get a place to seat place to sit with your family for that one. But most things, it just isn't required for you to queue up so far in advance.
Yeah, great tip.
That's a good one, Dennis. And I will add to that if you don't mind. One of the things about what Disney offers, which is very unique, is if there's a movie that's about to be released and you're on a cruise ship, a lot of times they will have that movie showing. It'll be a surprise, but they'll actually have that movie on board like the day before it releases, right? So it's a great opportunity. I think we saw Aladdin that way. We saw something else that way. But like you said, get there early, get a good seat for the movies. And, they'll announce it the day before. The captain will be talking or something. He'll say, hey, we have something special for you the next day. But then, that's kind of like something new, right? Go see it. And of course, it'll be playing again multiple times. But because one thing, you can see different shows and different movies throughout the ship, right? So just pass by the theater and see what's playing, or you can look at the app. But don't be afraid to kind of check out and just do something like that as well. You'll be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Super fun.
Yeah.
All right, I lied. I have two, but this one's going to be quick. First-time sailors, you will see people walking around with lanyards. Lanyards are given to silver, gold, platinum, pearl, whatever. As a first-time sailor, you are not given a lanyard. So if you want to wear your key to the world card, which think of that as kind of your room key, you'll want to pack your own lanyard. Or if you have a Magic Band Plus, are all the ships equipped with that now, or just some of them? All of them?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a Magic Band Plus that you would use in the Disney parks, you can also use that to get on the ship. So, or to get a work on the ship for your stateroom and such. So just a little tip, because I remember our first time sailing, I didn't know that everybody else had lanyards and we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. And it's also good, Jody, if you have an old Disney gift card that doesn't have anything on it, to keep it for your room as well, because you have to kind of stick that in, your key to the world card or a gift card into it to turn the power on in the room. So it's always good to kind of have that, even if you just have your Magic Band and you don't want to keep the key to the world card with you, just have an old gift card laying around, just stick it in there so you can turn the lights on and or take it when you leave.
Yeah, I use my D23 card for that purposes in the rooms. Yeah.
All right, who's next? Lonnie, is it your turn? I've lost track here. I'm sorry.
Nah, that's all I had. I think if you follow those tips, I think for me, I think you're pretty good.
Dennis, do you have another one?
Yeah, it's the saddest one is that every cruise ends at some point, and you have to get off the ship. They'll give you luggage tags so that they can gather your luggage the night before. The tip is that be careful about when you book your flights home, especially if you are flying home the day of disembarkation. I see this in every Facebook group for every cruise I've ever been. Is like, what's the earliest I could get my flight that would be safe? There's no 100% safe answer to that question, because the ship is typically going to be in around 7:30, but then customs has to clear the ship, and there's all kinds of things that can create delays, or maybe the harbor pilot didn't get to the ship in time to help it get into to port early enough. And if you are pushing it with that 9:30, 10 o'clock flight time, you might just not make it. So keep those things in mind. I know some of the ports are closer to the airports than others. So San Diego's not far away from the airport. I get the feeling Fort Lauderdale and Port Everglades, or the airport there, is pretty close. But Port Canaveral is an hour drive away from the airport, at least. And Vancouver doesn't have an airport real close to the port either. So at any rate, budget some time in there. And if it's one of those situations where you just can't get that early flight, well, then, hey, maybe consider, if you're going to be, if you're sailing at Port Canaveral, do a park stay at the end of your cruise or something. But just don't push it there. It's a crummy way to end your cruise by missing your flight.
Yeah, good point. Mine is also about leaving the cruise, but it's giving you something to look forward to. So before you leave the ship, and you can't do this the last morning, before you leave the ship, make sure you book a placeholder. A placeholder costs a little bit of money on your part, but it allows you to have the ability to book another future cruise on Disney Cruise Line within a 2-year window and take advantage of a 10% discount on certain staterooms and reduced deposit on future sailings. So we never walk out of a Disney cruise without putting on a placeholder. Sometimes it doesn't work out that we can use it, and then the money's returned to us. So don't forget your placeholder, because I have a feeling you're going to love Disney Cruise Line and you're going to come back.
Very good tip.
Oh yeah.
All right. Is that it? Everybody, good tips?
Yeah, I think we didn't check it off. Hopefully, these tips help you guys securing some of the best cruises and some of the best things to do on the ship. But now we're going to transition to what some, I may say all people say, is the best part of the podcast, and that is quacking up with the ducks. So, Jody B.
Yes.
Can you quack us up tonight?
I'm going to try. I feel like I did this one before, but I can't remember after 200 episodes. So sorry if it's a repeat. Okay. So did you guys hear about the latest trend on cruise ships?
Yes.
No.
Dennis, you already know this one.
Well, I used this joke the last time I was on the show.
Oh, well, maybe that's why I remembered it. Okay. Well, it's the only one that I had saved, so I'm going to go ahead and go with it. But if you've not heard about the latest trend on cruise ships, they're installing trampolines, so now everybody can jump on board.
Dennis, she took your joke. You got to give her another one so she can take for the next show. So
I know. Clearly, I liked it because it stuck with me.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're talking about first-time cruisers, and it just so happens there was a nervous first-time cruiser. He was looking around and he saw the captain, and he said, "Hey, I got a question. Do ships like this sink very often?" The captain looked at him sternly and said, "No, usually just once."
Or once is all it takes. Oh, so we talked about certain things being confiscated or that you can't bring on board the ship. But did you know there is one vegetable that isn't allowed on a Disney Cruise Line? Do you know which one that is?
I do.
Which one is that, Jody?
It's a leek.
It is a leek. Good one.
Yeah, no leaks on those ships, please.
No, please, no leaks. Please, no leaks. So, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed this episode. Dennis, thank you so much for coming on to share your tips as a successful cruiser. Guys, if this helped you out, or if there's, like I said, anything that you would like to see or add, please feel free to give us a review. Also, guys, follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram and at Facebook at Disney with the Ducks. We have a lively conversation over there. We always try to share some useful tips and things of that nature. And usually we always answer any questions that come aboard on the site. So feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. And thank Jody B, right, for all the things she's done. She's usually answering all the questions. So go ahead and give Jody a question on there. She'll get to it. But thank you both for joining tonight. Sorry about the technical issues I had, but I'm glad you guys were patient with me. And as we always say, Kwaharini.
Thanks, friends.
Later.